What's up, Coach?
What's up, Matthew?
Welcome into another episode of What's Up, Coach. Today we are joined by Bryan, Madej, head coach of the Methodist University women's soccer team. Coach, how's your summer going? What you been up to?
Summer's been good. As we sit here and speak today, believe it or not, it's been a quick summer. We've had a couple meetings with the team already, and we've talked about, we're kind of in this mode of a 30-day countdown starting this week, so that's exciting. The typical summer for me usually is spending time with family, my kids, with sports, and then running camps out here as well too. So it's been a calm summer, but a quick summer at the same time.
Let's start with the fresh news. You've been named the Methodist University McLean Foundation Coach of the Year for this past school year. What does that feel like, winning that honor? I know you've been working for it for a number of years. How does it feel? What do you think when you heard the news?
Well, very, humbled and grateful. I'm very appreciative to my coworkers and others that voted for me. But most importantly, the players and the team are the ones who, together we had the year that we had last year, and very appreciative of them and what we accomplished last year as a group. Humbled, thankful to work in an environment where, we recognize our staff when things go well. And, I thought I'd been close in the past, and it's finally now to finally, able to break through and do it. So, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it's probably the accumulation of what we finally did last year. Now it's all about, moving forward into, this fall. So, but very thankful and appreciative of everyone who voted for me. Absolutely.
It's interesting. Success, doesn't typically come without some shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to rewind a little bit and go back to the 2021 season.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were exceptional, 9-0 in conference play, and then you fell in the semifinal round of the conference tournament. How bad did that loss hurt, and what was kind of your message going forward after losing that game?
Yeah, it stung. It hurt a lot. We that was the Final Four weekend we were able to host. That was the last year that we were still as a whole conference with the Western teams as well too. So the likes of Piedmont, Covenant, Maryville, all good teams. So yeah, that stung. I mean, I tell the players my fear was to do what happened on that Saturday, which was have to be here and be a good steward, obviously, of two teams playing on a field, not being us in the championship game. That happened. That was our sole motivation for obviously what we experienced this past year. Anytime you have a team come here and do that to us, it bodes well for motivation for the next year. But credit to, again, Covenant. They had the player of the year in the conference. She was a handful to deal with. They're forward, and I thought again we were just unlucky. We did all the things that we normally do well. We held the ball well. We possessed the ball well. We created chances. It was just at the end of the day, on that day they had a goal scorer and we did not. So, but I guess at the same time they went ahead and got the job done in the championship game as well too. Covenant did, and won the championship and represented our conference going forward in the NCAA tournament. So. For any solace, we lost the conference champion, I guess. But I want to say, though, our support that particular weekend from the university, from the fans and the students were awesome. We always have that, but that was one where I truly felt like we were going to get the job done that weekend, but we came up a little bit short. That was a motivation for this previous year, obviously, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And so at the end of the day, it had some, I think for us, it had us to know that we can do it. It's just going to be a little bit harder. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer, and we did, and we finally turned around and get the job done this year. So
the team's motto was kind of unfinished business, and we see that in professional sports and in collegiate sports.
Yeah.
And the teams don't always follow through, but you guys got the job done. You went 9-0 for the second season against conference opponents. 16-3-1 was your final seat record after the NCAA tournament. But what did it feel like to finish the job, finish the business, and win the whole conference tournament?
Yeah, very rewarding. So that unfinished business probably was in the works for the last 2 years. Going back to the Covenant loss we just talked about, the previous year in the COVID spring, losing and not winning a championship, so to speak. Although there was no NCAA tournament year year, there was still a championship to be won. So we've been, I guess, building this kind of motto for the last 2 years, and and like you said, though, there's always a lot of mottos that teams have, and for various reasons, but we just thought that that was just something that we were just chomping at the bit for. We wanted it so bad. And um, I can't tell you that this team this year was any better than the previous two teams, but I knew for the last 3 years we've had a championship level team, and we just came close, and we were unlucky. And I think the things that we'll put together this year, we had a lot of quality all over the field this year. We had good depth. We had kids that worked hard, that wanted to get the job done, and they were really motivated this year. So to say that all, it was kind of, like I said, a 2 year kind of building block, the unfinished business motto, but we got the job done finally. We took a deep breath, and now it's about, just moving forward in our development as a program now that we finally broke through and won it. Because, I won in 2017, and I thought, this was, this is how it could be, should be. But, it took me 5 years after that to finally break through again. So it's hard to win a championship. Our conference is tough. Our teams that play each other, like I said, when we get a chance to play each other second or third time, it's difficult. So it's hard to win a championship at this level. So I have to take everyone that we do, not for granted, and just want to move forward and be positive in the next one. So that's what we'll be, and we'll have a new motto this year, obviously. So I'm letting the players kind of take the initiative of what that will be, and I'm sure you'll see it around once they get back in the fall.
And you were named Conference Coach of the Year. You had the Player of the Year on your team. How special was that?
Very special. Absolutely. Anytime any of my players get accolades that are deserving, I'm so happy for them just because of the work that they put in. We've been fortunate over the last couple of years that we've talked about where we've had first team all conference, second team all conference players, and it's good for them to get recognized by the rest of the conference. And this year especially, I'm going to be biased, but I thought, we did have the player of the year in a conference. We could have had maybe two players of the year in a conference in my mind. And, those players that get recognized for what they do is awesome. And I'm so happy for them. And I'm just lucky that, that player of the year in a conference is coming back again this year in Corinne. And we have others that are very capable as well, too. So very fortunate.
You mentioned 2017 a second ago, and I was going to touch on that. How does it compare with the 2022 championship? Are the two comparable? Because in 2017, were you expecting it after your regular season performance, which wasn't as dominant as in 2022?
No, 2017 was just the epitome of the way kind of when you tell teams it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Because we started off that year, I believe, 1-6. Things aren't going well. I will say to that team's credit, they never broke, they never blamed, they never pointed fingers. We kept going. I had to make some difficult decisions with certain personnel during that time. Once we hit a certain point, we made some changes with goalkeeping and others on the field. And all of a sudden we went on this magical run from the end of the season to the conference tournament. We go down to Maryville, Tennessee, and we win an exciting semifinal match, and we get to the final, believe it or not, all the way down to Maryville, play Meredith in the final, win a championship. And so that team I respected a lot due to just their never giving up, never dying attitude. Because when you're starting off like that, 1-6, and you're in the middle to bottom of the conference at that time, heads can go down and fingers can be pointed. But to their credit, we always knew that we were better than what our record was showing. And for some reason, the way we finished the season with a championship, and then, when you go in the NCAA tournament with a losing record, chances are you're going to be put somewhere far. And to that credit as well, too, we went out to Hardin-Simmons. At that time, I think they were the number 4 team in the country, had let up 4 goals all year. They were a powerhouse, Division I transfers all over the field. They scored quickly on us. And, they scored a second one not too shortly after that. Then you kind of think to yourself, all right, the skates are kind of falling off here. But to our credit, we got to halftime 2-0. We scored early to make it 2-1. And, there was a period there in the second half when it was back and forth. And, I thought we were going to get the second one, and they finally get the third one, and we leave. Going all the way out to Hardin Simmons, which is all the way out in West Texas, and that was an experience awesome in itself. And that was a true NCAA experience that we had that year as well too. So that was one of those that you kind of look back as a coach and kind of be grateful for and appreciative of the way that team was that particular year. It wasn't one of the best teams that we've had, but a really together close team as well too. And sometimes that works to win a championship as well. So
Your career at Methodist started before you were a coach. You were a player here on the men's soccer team from 1999 to 2002.
Yeah.
How were you recruited to Methodist, and then what was your experience like playing for the Monarchs?
Yeah, so just to kind of the way life works for you in full circle, the way I think about that quite a bit of where I'm at now and where I came from, and you know, I was a 17, 18-year-old kid playing travel soccer on a good club team, and I got recognized by, at the time, the previous coach Adrian Blewett down in Florida. And the way it works is it was a lot different back then. No cell phones, no social media or anything like that. Literally coaches had to call the house of where you lived at. So it was a little bit harder to communicate with kids at that time. You had to do stuff in the mail. You had to write letters in the mail when you could do things now via text message. So the recruiting was definitely interesting then. But long story short, I got recruited. I came down here. Adrian at the time was a young and hungry coach, and he definitely made me feel welcome. I came here, met some of the players that I'm still incredibly close to today, and they made me feel welcome also. And I had a good feeling about things when I left here, and I think I committed pretty much, the week after I left here, and wanted to be a part of something that was a rebuilding process here from their previous success in the late 1999s, and I wasn't too far away from him either. Growing up in Maryland and living in Maryland, so it was a good situation for me, and I wouldn't change it for the world because I firmly believe, I'm where I'm at today because of, those instances, and I never left. I'm still here since 1999. So something about Fayetteville and the people and just the relationships that I've made here, and I've got two sons now. It's really cool to see them play on the field that I obviously played on as a college player as well too. So I'm one of those corny ones that think that things happen for a reason, and here we are now, 1999 into 2023, and still going strong. Spent some time after I played, obviously coaching, and I was on the men's side helping our current head coach here, Justin, for 5 years here, and obviously learned a lot from him. And when the position came up on the women's side here, he told me to go for it, told me to get after it, and I did. And fortunately, the powers that be here believed in me and trusted me to, make me an interim the first year to kind of prove yourself, and then after that, give me the job full time. So since 2011, I've been in charge of the women's program. So, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. So, yeah.
Going back to when you were a player, you're still top 10 in goals scored and maybe a couple other things.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite memories from when you were a player? Teams you beat, maybe? Or
I would say, my first few years here, like I said, I knew coming here it was going to be a little bit of a building project. So, we would have a win here and there that was memorable. I know there were a couple games throughout my freshman year. I think I led the team in scoring. I think I had a hat trick one game. I know that particular year we played a Division I opponent during our preseason that we held ourselves well in UNCW. So, I would say the accumulation of everything probably came to my senior year. We lost in the semifinal to Christopher Newport that year and PKs, unfortunately. That would have been my senior year, and then Justin's first year here. I made my PK, fortunately, and I actually scored in that game as well too. So, but they were the number one seed. They were a powerhouse. We got them all the way to PKs, and unfortunately, we lost that year. So, my time here, there were some really good teams in our conference. It was Christopher Newport, Greensboro College. They were just national powerhouses, and we weren't there yet. But it was fun to compete against those type of players. And again, although we didn't have the overall success you would have liked to have as a college player, as I preach to these kids now, you played 4 years of college soccer and college athletics. The best experiences of your life that you go through on and off the field, and meeting the meeting, the friends that you're going to have lasting friendships for the rest of your life. I mean, I did that. I've got friends that I still communicate now that are, different countries and all over the country as well too. And that was all because of the 4 years that we spent together here at Methodist. So I'm very appreciative of that as well too. Absolutely.
Let's move to some rapid response questions.
Okay.
First one, as a player, would you rather score a hat trick or an equalizer at the end of regulation that gives your team a chance in overtime?
Did that hat trick that I scored made our team win or not? I would say, I'm going to take the politically correct response here and say that I'm assuming if I scored a hat trick in a game, we've got a pretty good chance to win. But at the same time, though, if I scored an equalizer for us to get to overtime, who knows what happens there. But I'm going to hopefully go with the fact that I scored a hat trick, and then we shouldn't be giving up 3 goals in a game because of our defenders and goalies. So I'm going to go with the hat trick.
Do you have a favorite professional soccer team that you enjoy following?
I do. I would say me and my colleague over here, we're big Liverpool fans in the English Premier League, and I know I fell in love with them when they won their first Champions League. When they shouldn't have, when they were down 3 goals and they came back and won. They're epitome of just a small. They're the huge club, obviously, but, a small town club that doesn't have the budget that some of the bigger clubs in the world. I would say probably Liverpool in England would be my one that I would go with. And then domestically here, DC United is a MLS team that growing up in Maryland, they were the closest one to us, to root for in to root for an MLS here. So I would say DC United would be the one that I would root for here as far as U.S. goes. So, yeah.
Switching to American football, from Maryland, I know you're a big Baltimore Ravens fan.
Yes.
This is a similar question to what I asked Coach Williams, but focused on the Ravens.
Yeah.
If you could pick one former or current Ravens player that you kind of relate yourself to or your coaching style to, who would it be?
Ooh, good question. I mean, Ray Lewis has the bravado. Ray Lewis has the the get in your face type, and he can he can make anyone ready to go out there and go to battle. But I really like Joe Flacco's presence and calmness about him. I would say a little bit of both of those two, where you can be energetic at the same time, but also you have to be calm and cerebral and not let the games and the pressure get to you as well too. And I think during his Super Bowl run, he definitely did that. Coming from Delaware, which was in a football powerhouse, and nobody not knowing a lot about him, and he. I would say that Super Bowl run for him was really cool for him. No one expected him to do what he did, and he did it. And so from that standpoint, a little bit of Ray Lewis's personality at the same time, a little bit of cerebralness and calmness of Joe Flacco's, I think would be pretty cool to have. So,
all right, let's look ahead real quick to this upcoming season for you. First 2 games are a trip to New Jersey, playing Stockton University and Keene University. What's going to be challenging about those 2 teams and that road trip in general?
So, I told the girls after that year, after the year we had this year, because, we did lose an NCAA tournament to Rowan out of New Jersey, who plays in that same conference. And, I thought to myself that, and the girls admittedly have said this as well too, we need to get tougher. We need to play teams like that to get us used to what the NCAA could look like for us. Because if we're not, playing a Virginia team, ODAC team, we're probably playing a New Jersey team. So that was on purpose scheduled for us to get right after the bat there and play 2 good teams that are going to thump you, are going to push you, are going to tug you. We're going up there, so we're playing on turf, which is not a huge a huge thing that the girls love, being down here and playing on our natural grass surface. But that's going to be a toughness type of weekend for us where, we're going to go there. We want to show ourselves well. We want to play well. But at the same time, we want to see what those type of level of teams are like, because outside of those 2, we've got some other good non-conference games scheduled. But that's one purposely done because of what I think happened to us at the end of last year. So knowing that we're going to go there and play 2 good teams, and 2 good teams that are going to test you physically, that's what we need before we get into, the majority of our season.
So you return home. You've got Averett
Yep.
and Eastern Mennonite, both teams that you saw last year as well. Averett, you tied.
Yep.
What's going to be different about playing them this year?
Well, hopefully not the conditions of the game. We went there and it started off well. To their credit, because I'm older, their coach, I actually recruited Megan as a player here way back in the day, and she's done a really good job there, and she's really starting to get them turned around. But we had just gotten off of playing Eastern Mennonite the day before, and it was hot. It was on the turf. It was middle of the day. All those excuses, but to their team's credit, they were prepared to play us, and we got to the second half, and it was a monsoon, and we both agreed with the referees that we could still play. We probably shouldn't have, but it wasn't conditions that we were used to, obviously. So we had a PK, I think, in the second overtime that we didn't score, but or right at the end of regulation. So I would say, hopefully, first and foremost, if the weather is good out here on that day, then we hope for it to be a different result. So yeah.
Another similar opponent to last year, but you're hosting this time, is Christopher Newport University. Last year when you played them, they were very highly ranked.
Yep.
Do you think they will be again this year? And
I do.
What are you looking forward to about that game?
With them, it's the same thing every year. We always know what to expect. They're going to be, they're going to be athletic. They're going to be fast. They're going to be strong. They're going to be physical. Again, coincidentally for them, as I said, because I'm old, Jamie Gunderson, who coaches that program, is somebody who I coached here as an assistant coach here on the men's side at Methodist. So he's an alumni from here. I know he likes to come back here to see what the facilities look like and come back to Methodist, but he's got his teams always ready to play. And for us, they've been a thorn on our side, and they've been somebody that, that's what we want to be as a program. We want to compete with teams like that, and we want to push teams like that, and we want to get into the last, 10 minutes knowing that we've got a chance to get a result. And it's been tough against those guys, but we've got their respect. We're on their schedule every year. They could schedule anybody they want, but they choose to schedule us, and I'm fortunate of that, and it helps us get ready because right after that is when we start conference play as well too. So, but there's somebody that we're going to continue to play, and until we eventually hopefully beat them one day, and then we probably won't play them anymore. So I tell Jamie that all the time.
So you transition into conference play. Yeah. You open against the team that you beat in the conference championship last year, Southern Virginia. Yeah. They're going to be out for vengeance.
Yep.
What's it going to take to make sure you win that game again?
So you're right. I mean, we play CNU on a Wednesday, and then, we leave on a Friday then to go up to Southern Virginia up there, and that's a tough drive. We did that 2 years ago, and, so we're kind of used to that already. But, yeah, I'm sure it's going to be one of those where just the emotions of both of us. They're an up-and-coming program. I think they're starting to turn the corner from last year. Their coach has done a really good job with recruiting and bringing in players. So I'm sure their motivation is going to be, what happened, in the championship game this past year. For us, we know that's one of the teams that we're going to have to get a result against to want to do what we did again last year, which was, have the ability to host here as well. So it's going to be a very motivating game for both teams. And there's nothing to be said about a game like that, from the standpoint of what it could mean. I think that's a game right off the bat that's going to pay dividends down the road because of just tiebreakers and errors and everything. So, but as always, though, they've got a tough schedule. We would have had a tough schedule up until that point. So I think both teams will be ready to play each other when we get to that point at the end of September. So, but I'm looking forward to it for sure.
To wrap it all up, what's it going to take to make it a third season in a row where you guys go 9-0 in conference play?
Yeah, I mean that's a stat that I talk with our sports information directors about, and it's cool to talk about and during the off season and stuff about that type of accomplishment. But I'm always calling two minds about how much do I really preach that to my current players as well. The coaching verbiage is one game at a time and all that stuff, but at the same time, though, when you've got a chance to make history and do things really special, I want them to know that also. So, I'm calling two minds about how I'll relay that to them, at the beginning of this year. But, to go undefeated in during the regular season of the conference over the last 3 years is really special. To do that again this year is going to be very tough. I mean, our conference is tough. I mean, we've got coaches that work hard and prepare their teams really well. And and we've got a target on our back as well. I tell the players this all the time. I mean, for that success that we have had, teams want to beat us, but at the same time, I think we've got the team, with what we have coming back and what we have coming in as new players, ready to make another statement this year. And it's not just about holding on to what we did last year. It's going to be about chasing, a new championship as well too. So they're motivated for that as well. So I'm looking forward to it. We've got a championship level team coming back, and we've got some really good players coming in, and just looking forward to getting after it again with them together really soon here.
All right. Well, thanks, Coach, for your time. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely appreciate it, and look forward to seeing this come out. And wish you the best of luck the rest of the summer.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for tuning in. Go Monarchs.